this matter, Mr. Yogo?
Well, the need for electoral reform is germane. Recall that we had the 2010 electoral reform that was, 2010 electoral act that was replaced by the 2022 electoral act that is currently in place. Now, is the 2022 electoral act that we are currently trying to amend to, or even replace with the 2025 electoral bill that has led to this discussion. Now, reforms generally is meant to enhance our electoral system. So you see what's happening in Africa. You see what's happening in Ivory Coast, in Cameroon, and some of these countries, where once you are an incumbent, you just perpetuate yourself in office. It's very disheartening. And so even in Nigeria here, we have agreed that our electoral system has not been the best. And so we'll seek these reforms. Of course, the present electoral bill 2025 is looking at same-day election, possibility of a same-day election, looking at shorter campaign period. We talk about statutory delegates, take and result transmission, early funding of INEC, and of course, the issue of the fact that we should have early votings and possible independent candidacy. So it's a whole gamut of reforms that we're looking at. But maybe particularly this morning, we're looking at early votings. What is the rationale? What is the reason behind early voting? Just like my colleague in the studio said, the aim is to see that election tribunal deal with these election matters or cases before one is sworn in. But currently, the Electoral Act 2022 provides for 180 days. And some people argue, even if you don't do early voting, you can reduce it to 90 days. So there are pros and cons of it. So my final take would be that early voting is desirable. But do we think that we are really ready for early voting, given the fact that we will just have less than 2 years to the end of this present administration, where another administration should start? And maybe the timing may not be right. But if we can, as a country, I would decide that's why it has to be the citizens' choice and will and opinion. So if it's our general opinion that we can amend the electoral act despite the short time we have, to make it, to get it to the point that we can have this early voting. Because people argue, even in America, that the election is conducted in November, there are 2 months, in January, that's when the American president is usually sworn in. November, December, January, that is just about 3 months or thereabout. So I think 6 months may be too long. What we can do is to look at our the days that is allowed to be in the tribunal. We can shorten it. There's nothing that is impossible. If you see what happens in Kenya, within 1 month, the Supreme Court, will decide the fate of presidential elections. So we don't need to be in court for 6 months or 3 months for us to do that. We can shorten the days. So we have to look at a comprehensive package when we talk about reforms. Let us not just concentrate on early voting. Okay, let us also concentrate on the days and the time we spend in court.
All right, so let me ask Mr. Leonard, talking of early reforms, do you think that if we decide to have elections earlier, it will sort of prevent us from having the necessary electoral reforms, because you need to have time to be able to conduct all these reforms, and you've listed some of the challenges and things that needs to be addressed. So if we have early elections, it will delay these reforms from happening. How can we balance both together if that's what is on the front burner now?
Now, it seems as if we want to even replace entirely the Electoral Act 2022 to the electoral bill pending, that is 2025 electoral bill. Of course, when it is passed into law, it becomes an electoral act. So, just like I said, the timing, we want to strike a balance. Because what happened in 2022, the electoral act came to being in 2022, and in the following year, 2023, there was election. And instead of us to have fewer electoral cases in court, it's as if we just started. Almost everybody was in court, because people didn't even understand the tenet of the Electoral Act 2022, including even the National Assembly members that excluded themselves from the statutory delegates. They were so shocked. Some of them were shocked that So we are not going to be part of the primaries because it was just the Electoral Act 2022 provides for just delegates. The issue of statutory delegates were done away with. So what I'm saying in essence that due to the short time we are having, we may not have the luxury of time to understand these provisions and make the electorate understand these provisions too. And of course, the issue of suspicion, that it will not give time. Of course, I have to look at all those political considerations. That it will not give time for the opposition to put their asses together. Like we are looking at now, Nigeria seems to be moving towards everybody moving towards to APC now. It's not the fault of theirs, because in this country we just believe that we should follow any government in power. The opposition is, but somebody will always argue that it's the politicians that are defective, not the people. So I think the people will equally hold those in government accountable by a free and fair elections. So we have to balance it. We have to balance the situation. That's why I've read out all those places that the electoral bill currently in place is looking at.
All right. Just before Mustafa, I actually would like Ambassador Ige to